Hey, welcome to my sketchbook series. In today's video I'm using some leftover paints from my previous painting that I used too much. I got paint. I got too much paint out of the tube. So I'm filling up my sketchbook with these squares. I've used some masking tape to get the edges nice and clean. And I'm just overlaying the paint until I've used it all up. I used to do abstracts, or I have done in the past, with squares like this, but I don't really have the skill for that anymore. I wasn't that great at them before, but I'm even less confident. So instead I'm just doing this drawing of a dog based on a reference that I'll show you later. Just playing about with some felt markers. And then I tried to use my Posca pen and my gel pen to outline this rose that I got from Pinterest. But in the end I used correction fluid or whiteout or Tipex, depending on where you're from, to outline it instead. And I left these drawings like this for quite a few days until I did the Katie Jobling workshop, and I decided I'd have more confidence to try and play with them a little bit again. So this is Spencer. I got his picture from that YouTube channel, We Rate Dogs. I don't watch the videos, but I see the photos coming up on my feed quite regularly, and he takes some great dog photos. I don't know if they're all his, but the pet photos are brilliant. I'm using some pro markers which my cousin gave me. I don't have a lot of experience with them. They layered surprisingly well on the acrylic, but they did make the black felt marker bleed a little bit, and unfortunately they bled through this paper as well. So I just leaned into it and swatched the pens on the top left corner as I went along. Not all of them, but some of them anyway. I can see as I compare the reference to my drawing where I went wrong. I think my dog's face is well, it's Spencer. The dog's name is actually Spencer, so Spencer's face on my drawing is too long, his nose is too narrow, and his nose was too small. But never mind, it's a good attempt. It's been a long time since I've drawn dogs, so it's a good start. My grey Posca pen had a bit of a accident, so I just wiped it off on the paper. I probably should have wiped it off on a bit of tissue, but there you go. Now I'm going in with some of those highlights on the nose, trying to get that shape a bit better, and blotting out that grey Posca pen. Some of these pro markers didn't show up at all, made no difference over that yellow paint, apart from making the black pen bleed a little bit. And I'm going in with the correction fluid again for the eyes. So that's this one done. Now this painting, or this illustration, whatever this is, I was quite pleased with this detail that I got with the pro marker. At this point I'm very happy with it. Well, you know, I'm happy with the direction it's going in. And I'm layering the pro markers along. They don't really go over the correction fluid very well, so I'm getting this acrylic paint marker, and I like where it's going, but again it doesn't go over the correction fluid, so I decided to get my paints out. Now this was after doing 2 out of 3 days of the Katie Jobling Painterly Roses workshop. So I was feeling kind of confident. I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to apply the principles of what I learned and come out with something semi-decent. Apart from, of course, making that first brush stroke. That was a little bit daunting. I went in with the highlights first, which I suppose is okay because the background is a mid-tone already. But when we did the workshop, we started off painting with the mid-tones. So I don't know if I'm doing this in the right order. Now, I'm not using the same kinds of brush strokes that I learned from the workshop. You know, these sort of sketchy almost brush strokes that I'm doing and blending isn't really what Katie taught us. But I'm hoping that once I've done day 3 of that workshop, that the lessons from it will sink in a little bit more. I don't know. It's hard to break a habit. Like you get into a habit of how you paint and how you draw and how you use materials. And with acrylics are like the material that I feel most comfortable with, other than like a pen or a pencil. So I've got more practice with them, and some of that muscle memory is still there. So here I am putting in the stem and the leaves, trying to get those mid-tones and highlights and shadows. You can't really see them that well. And here I am trying to salvage this kind of pointy leaf. It's so much bigger in my painting than it is in the reference. But I go in and try and fix it. This is one of the great things about acrylics. You can just wipe them off when they're still wet and cover over them. And I'm pleased I got the opportunity to cover over that weird blob on the top right corner. So pushing some more highlights in, trying to create more depth. And when I compare this to the painting, or the second stage of the painting I did in the workshop, they're night and day. They're very different. This painting I've done is neither realistic nor impressionistic, I would say. Finish off by covering over some of the bleed through from those markers and having a little bit of a go at some abstract painting, but I'll probably just do an illustration on top of this. Thank you for watching. See you next time.